I walked into my bedroom and found my mother-in-law elbow deep in my underwear drawer. And somehow, I'm the bad guy in this situation. Let me back up a bit. My husband Jake and I have been married for 3 years, together for 5. His mom Linda has always been what I'd call intensely involved in his life. Like, the woman still calls him her baby boy, and he's 32. I thought it was a little much when we were dating, but I figured once we got married and moved into our own place, things would naturally shift. Spoiler alert, they did not. When we bought our house last year, Jake insisted we give his mom a spare key for emergencies. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I agreed because, what if there's a fire or a flood or something and we need someone to check on the house? That seemed reasonable. What I didn't realize was that Linda's definition of emergency is wildly different from mine. It started small. I'd come home and notice things were slightly off, like the throw pillows on the couch would be rearranged, or I'd find dishes in the drying rack that I knew I hadn't washed. At first, I thought I was going crazy or just forgetting things. Then one day I came home early from work because I had a migraine, and there she was, Linda, in my kitchen, reorganizing my pantry. I literally stood there in shock for a solid 10 seconds before I could even form words. She just looked up, smiled, and said she noticed last time she was over that our canned goods weren't organized properly and she wanted to help. Last time she was over? We hadn't invited her over in weeks. That's when it clicked that she'd been letting herself in regularly. I tried to stay calm and told her that while I appreciated the thought, she couldn't just come into our house when we weren't home. She laughed it off and said she was just being helpful, that I should be grateful to have a mother-in-law who cares so much. Then she literally patted my head like I was a child and went back to organizing my pantry. When Jake got home, I immediately told him what happened. I expected him to be as shocked as I was, but instead he just shrugged and said his mom has always been like that. He said she used to let herself into his apartment all the time before we lived together. I asked why he never mentioned this, and he said he didn't think it was a big deal. Not a big deal? Your mother has a key and uses it whenever she wants. How is that not a big deal? We got into a huge argument about boundaries. I told him I wanted the key back, and he said I was being dramatic. He said his mom just likes to help, and that I should appreciate having someone who wants to make our lives easier. I pointed out that coming into our home without permission isn't helping. It's violating our privacy. He said I was being ungrateful and that his mom's feelings would be hurt if we took the key away. For the next few weeks, I tried to let it go. I figured maybe if I was home more often, it wouldn't happen as much. Wrong again. I started working from home 2 days a week, and you know what? She still came by. I'd be in the middle of a video call and hear the front door open. The first time it happened, I genuinely thought we were being robbed and almost called 911. Nope, just Linda, bringing over a casserole she made because she was worried we weren't eating properly. After the casserole incident, I started keeping a mental note of every time I noticed she'd been in our house. In a 2-week period, I counted at least 6 times. 6 times she let herself in when we weren't home, or when I was working and Jake wasn't there. She'd do laundry, reorganize cabinets, water plants that didn't need watering, and even rearrange our furniture once. Our furniture. Who does that? The breaking point came 3 weeks ago. I was working from home, and I'd had a really stressful morning full of back-to-back meetings. During my lunch break, I went upstairs to change into something more comfortable since I was done with video calls for the day. I walked into my bedroom and literally screamed. Linda was in there going through my dresser drawers. She had my underwear drawer completely emptied out on the bed and was sorting through everything. She looked up when I screamed and had the audacity to look annoyed that I'd startled her. She said she was helping me organize and that I had way too many mismatched sets. I couldn't even speak. I just stood there, shaking, staring at my personal items spread across my bed while my mother-in-law stood there like this was totally normal behavior. I finally found my voice and told her to get out, not just out of my bedroom, out of my house. She got all huffy and said I was being rude, that she was just trying to help, and that Jake would hear about my attitude. I told her I didn't care what she told Jake. She needed to leave immediately and give me the key. She refused and said the key was a gift from her son and she wasn't giving it back to me. After she left, I called a locksmith and had all our locks changed that same day. Cost me $300, but it was worth every penny. When Jake got home and couldn't get his key to work, he was confused at first. Then when I told him what happened and that I'd changed the locks, he absolutely lost it. Not at his mom for going through my underwear drawer. At me for changing the locks. He said I'd overreacted, that his mom wasn't doing anything malicious, and that I'd disrespected both him and his mother by making that decision without consulting him. I asked him point blank if he thought it was okay that his mother was going through my underwear, and he said she was probably just trying to be helpful. Helpful. Going through your daughter-in-law's underwear is helpful, apparently. We had the biggest fight of our marriage that night. I told him his normal meter was completely broken if he thought any of this was acceptable. He said I was being dramatic and that plenty of people give their parents keys to their houses. I tried to explain that giving someone a key for emergencies is completely different from them using it as an all-access pass to your life. He didn't get it, or he didn't want to get it. He kept saying his mom just loves him and wants to be involved in our lives. I said there's a difference between being involved and being invasive, and his mom crossed that line months ago. The next day, Linda called me. Not Jake, me. She was crying and saying I'd broken her heart, that she'd only ever tried to help us, and that she didn't understand why I hated her so much. I told her I didn't hate her, but that she needed to respect our boundaries and our privacy. She said that when you're family, there are no boundaries, and that I'd understand when I had kids of my own. That comment made my blood boil for so many reasons. Jake has been weird ever since the lock change. He's been distant and cold, and he's been going to his parents' house way more often than usual. Last week, he asked me if I'd consider giving his mom a new key now that things have calmed down. I told him absolutely not, and he said I was being stubborn and punishing his mom for caring about us. I said if she cared about us, she'd respect our privacy and our space. Here's where it gets even messier. Yesterday, I found out from Jake's sister that Linda has been telling their entire family that I'm trying to isolate Jake from them and that I'm controlling and manipulative. She's apparently been crying to everyone about how mean I am and how I won't let her see her son. Never mind that Jake sees them literally all the time. I've never once told him he can't visit his parents. I just don't want his mother letting herself into our house and going through my personal belongings. Jake's sister actually gets it. Thank God. She told me Linda did the same thing to her when she first got married, and that she had to threaten to go no contact before Linda finally backed off. She said their mom has serious boundary issues and that Jake has always been her favorite, so he's never had to deal with the worst of it. She warned me that this probably won't get better unless Jake actually stands up to his mom, and right now, he's not willing to do that. So now I'm sitting here wondering if I married the wrong person. Because it's not just about the key, right? It's about the fact that my husband doesn't see anything wrong with his mother violating my privacy. It's about the fact that he values his mother's feelings over my comfort and safety in my own home. It's about the fact that he's letting his mom trash-talk me to his entire family instead of defending me. And honestly, I don't know if we can come back from this. I love Jake. I really do. But I'm starting to realize that I didn't just marry him. I married his unhealthy relationship with his mother. And I don't know if he's willing to work on that. I've suggested couples counseling, and he said we don't need it, that I just need to be more understanding of his family dynamics. But here's the thing. I've been understanding for 3 years. I've bitten my tongue through countless uncomfortable dinners and intrusive comments. I've smiled through her criticisms of my cooking, my cleaning, my career choices. I've let so much slide because I didn't want to cause problems. But this is where I draw the line. My bedroom is supposed to be my safe space, and she violated that. My home is supposed to be my sanctuary, and she treated it like her own personal property. And my husband is supposed to be my partner, but right now he feels like her son first, and my husband second. Some of my friends think I should just give her another chance, that maybe she's learned her lesson now. But how do you give someone another chance when they don't think they did anything wrong? Linda genuinely believes she was being helpful. She sees nothing inappropriate about letting herself into our house or going through my personal items. And Jake backs her up on that. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what I want my future to look like. Do I want to spend the next 40 years dealing with a mother-in-law who has no boundaries and a husband who won't enforce them? Do I want to bring kids into this situation, knowing that Linda will probably let herself into my house while I'm recovering from giving birth? Because based on what Jake's sister told me, that's exactly what happened to her. The worst part is, I know Jake loves me. I don't doubt that. But love isn't enough when someone won't stand up for you. Love isn't enough when someone prioritizes their mom's feelings over your basic right to privacy. Love isn't enough when you're constantly made to feel like you're the problem for having normal boundaries. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Part of me wants to give Jake an ultimatum, counseling, or I'm done. But another part of me worries that even if he agrees to counseling, his heart won't be in it. He'll just be going through the motions to appease me while nothing actually changes. The reality is, this situation has shown me who Jake really is when it comes down to choosing between his wife and his mother. And right now, I'm not winning that battle. Every time I think about our future together, I see Linda there, letting herself in, rearranging our lives to suit her preferences, and Jake just shrugging and telling me to be more understanding. I've started looking into what my options are. Not divorce, not yet, but I've talked to a therapist on my own to help me figure out if I'm actually being unreasonable or if my gut is right about this. The therapist confirmed what I already knew deep down. This isn't normal. A grown man's mother shouldn't have unlimited access to his marital home. A husband should prioritize his wife's sense of safety and privacy, and nobody, family or not, should be going through someone else's personal belongings. But knowing I'm right doesn't make this easier, because at the end of the day, I'm the one sleeping next to someone who thinks I'm overreacting. I'm the one who's been labeled the bad guy by his entire family. I'm the one who has to decide if this relationship is worth fighting for when my partner won't fight alongside me. So if you're watching this and you've been through something similar, drop a comment below. Tell me if it got better, if counseling helped, or if you had to walk away. Because right now, I'm standing at a crossroads and I have no idea which path to take. And to anyone else dealing with boundary-stomping in-laws, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. You're not being dramatic, you're not being unreasonable, and you deserve to feel safe and respected in your own home. Hit that subscribe button if you want more messy relationship stories, and remember, family or not, boundaries matter. Thanks for watching.